What's up, guys? Welcome to the video, and this is a very special one. I have three lovely ladies with me today. Firstly, I have Willow Gibson, Kelli Stocks,
hello,
and Gabby Ellis, who has been on the channel before. So,
Hiya.
welcome all to the podcast, and we will be talking about the female perspective to the game. So, with any card game, it's very largely male dominated, and looking at my YouTube demographics, it's like 1% female viewership. So, and I'm not even convinced that 1% is female. So, but welcome to the podcast, and just want to introduce you all a bit to the viewers, listeners. Firstly, so Willow, you were the first female player that I met, or came across actually, because it was actually at the LPG in Bristol when that was being streamed, and you played.
Yes, Big Orbit. We played against you, didn't we?
Yeah, we played at Big Orbit as well. But actually, you were being interviewed afterwards. For the LPG.
Stephen at the LPG event in Bristol.
Yeah, and I actually wanted to ask you then what your experience as a female player was like, but at that point we'd been trolling Stephen a bit too much, and I think he was ignoring us in the chat, so unfortunately he didn't ask the questions. But yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I did actually see your little trolls going on. I did find it quite funny.
Yeah. But yeah, and Kelli, if you don't know, she's one of the mods in the trading group.
Indeed I am.
And also Gabby, we've had on the channel before. So hi, welcome back, Gabby. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you.
And so I think it's important to talk about this topic, because I think sometimes the guys don't really get it right, or maybe they don't understand and sort of how to deal with women, especially in a card game situation. And I think just getting some sort of exposure and getting things from your viewpoint as well would be really great. So it is a pleasure to have you all on. Firstly, how did you all get into the game, actually? We'll go Gabby first.
Because probably not going to help with the whole girl thing, because of my boyfriend.
It is what it is.
Well, the thing was, he played every Monday at game night in Derby, and I'd just go along with him and just sit there and read while he was playing. And I was like, well, if I'm going to be there, I might as well learn what to do. So I was like, can you teach me? And there was like 4 failed attempts of him teaching me, because it turns out I am a terrible student. He has no patience. I thought he was a really patient person, but not so much with me, because I'm awful. So then just one day he just randomly was like, oh, who's your favorite character from Dragon Ball? I was like, Vegeta. He's like, cool. And then like 2 days later came at me with a Vegeta deck and went, learn this and we'll start playing together. So that's basically how I got into it, is because I was nagging my other half to teach me, and then he just presented me with a deck and was like, the rules for the cards are just, they're written there. What it does is written on the card. Read that, learn it, and then we'll try and play. So, and then we kept playing against each other, and he was playing, it was around set 2, and he was using the Beerus leader and just absolutely destroying me every time. And then the first time I beat him, I genuinely was just sat, like my jaw hit the floor, and I was like, really? I felt like crying. It was a really big deal for me. So that's how I got into it, was because Ryan basically.
All right, and speaking of Beerus, what about you, Willow? How did you get into the game?
Hey. So I've been a hobbyist, as in like general hobbyist, like board games, miniatures games, card games, for a couple of years. just a massive nerd really. And my 2 friends, I went into town with them one day, and they were massive Dragon Ball fans. The name's Callum and Morgan, and they just released set 1. It was January kind of time, and I actually hadn't watched Dragon Ball at this point, and we went into Excelsior, which is my local store, and we bought a couple packs because I'd previously dabbled in like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon, all that kind of stuff. They were interested in Dragon Ball, and then we like head home. We like opened our packs, thought it was really cool, opened some more. Through actually learning to play the game with them, I started watching Dragon Ball, and then I watched the whole of Dragon Ball Z within like 4 months.
Wow.
Yeah, last year that was. So I've actually been playing since January last year, which was when it first got released in the UK. But yeah, that's how I started, just playing through. Just starting up with a couple of mates. Sadly, they no longer play, but I became friends with the TO in Excelsior, which is Ian, and then we just started playing quite often, and I fell in love with Beerus because I'm a fiend for alternative win conditions.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
For a moment there, I thought you were going to say you fell in love with Ian, but...
Oh, no.
When she said fiend, I thought it was going to go with I'm a fiend for cats. I was like, oh, I totally feel you on that one.
I do like cats, I must admit.
And Kelly, what about you? How did you get into the game?
Well, I'd played some card games in the past, like when I was younger I played Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think I was into Pokemon at the time. And then a friend at the time, Mark, he just said to me one day, he was like, oh, you've got a Waterstones near you, haven't you? Because at the time I lived in Manchester. I was like, yeah. It's like, okay, well, there's this new card game that's just come out. It's a Dragon Ball card game. Can you go in there and see if they've got like the starter decks for it? Because we don't have anything up here. And I was like, okay. So I went in there, got him a deck, and just kind of ended up looking at it and asked him about it. And I think I started buying, I think it was when set 2, I started buying quite a few, I think it was the 4 packs with the Zamasu promo, because I think we have like at least 10 copies of that promo now, just because I bought a stupid amount of them. And then eventually, when he visited me once, I just put all these cards in front of him and just went, right, teach me how to play, because I've got all these cards, I might as well learn how to play.
Yeah.
And then after that, I thought, well, actually, considering this is, because I'm massively into anime anyway, I thought, well, I knew Dragon Ball was a thing, I never really got into it though, and I thought, well, I might as well watch the actual show to learn, because I feel better about the decks and stuff for the characters. So I watched all of the original Dragon Ball, and then Z, and then Super as well. The only one I've not touched, very hesitant yet, is GT, because I've heard that's a bad area.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's at the point now where I'm on a very level playing field with him, and I've even done better than him at tournaments, like one where I actually met you at the Nottingham one, where I think I placed like 5th or something.
Yeah.
And at the locals, like, not locals, but I think last weekend where I came again, like 6th or something.
Was that at Milton Keynes?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I think it bugs him a bit that I do better than him, and that he's the one who got me into the game, but I just find it funny.
Yeah, so actually it's quite interesting that all of you got into the game before Dragon Ball itself, and it sort of brought you into the anime through the game. So,
yeah.
I'd watched Abridged before I'd started playing the game, because just because like Ryan kept quoting it to me, so I was like, I need to know what the hell he's talking about, because 90% of the time I had no involvement in our conversations. So I sat and watched Abridged, and I was like, oh, I get it now. Like he is funny. He's
I understand
weird.
all the memes now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a couple of you have played card games before. How do you think this community compares to the other card games that you played? I mean, generally, Dragon Ball, I think the player base is a bit older than something like Yu-Gi-Oh! So in terms of your experiences, good or bad, how do they sort of compare?
Are we going in order again, or?
No, we'll come to you first, Kelly.
Okay. Well, I never really played the. Let's say Yu-Gi-Oh was when I was very young, but which is probably why you just said like some card games have a younger audience type thing. But with Pokemon, I found people were quite just kind of get on with it. Whereas with Dragon Ball, with the few events I've been to, people seem to be quite friendly. I think it's just because there's also like a show behind it and everything, and there's other things you can talk about, and there's such a variety of decks as well.
Yeah, cool. And have you had any sort of experiences come to mind, like good or bad?
Well, it's like there's quite a few like jokes and stuff because obviously like at the nationals or the Euros rather, obviously when you entered you got like big leaders and stuff. Sorry if you hear squeaking in the background, by the way. I've got a dog who's deciding now to play with things. Like you got the big leaders, I think, and obviously there's certain leaders that people are after.
Yeah.
And I was sat there and I opened up Pan, which was one of like the highly sought after ones, and there was a guy sat next to me who just went, "Oh, you bitch! Oh wait, oh sorry, I just really wanted that leader," and I was just like, "No, it's fine," and we just started laughing about it. Whereas some other people might just be like, "Oh, you got that," and that's it. But it's like it's just cool to be able to talk about the characters because some people like to build decks around characters they just generally like instead of just like, "Oh, I play this because it's cool."
Yeah. Okay. And Willow?
Yeah, so when I first played like Yu-Gi-Oh, it was a similar kind of situation to Kelly. Like I played it when I was most probably like 8 or so, like really young. It was like me and my next door neighbor just like bashing out, like playing the cards kind of thing. But I never played it like competitively. With Pokemon, I never actually played it like at a store or like tournaments or anything, but I used to play it on the online app that they've got. They've got like quite a nice trading card online game where you actually open boosters online. I used to collect the cards and stuff and then open their little product codes online and play it. So I doubt half of the people I played against I doubt any of them really knew that I actually was a female. So I never really like had any real experiences through that, but I found similarly to Kelly in the sense that I've never had a problem. I've never had like any problems or anything. There was once where I had a like it was kind of like a misplay situation, but board state hadn't changed, and they didn't let me return it, which is like fair enough.
Yeah.
But it was like it was kind of a bit bad manners. It wasn't like a like it wouldn't have changed anything if they let me play it through.
Okay.
Kind of situation. And I did wonder, like, I wonder if it's got anything to do with that. But either way, it didn't fizzle out. I still beat him, which made me feel better. I was like, I don't mind not taking it back, but I just thought I'd ask because it hasn't changed. And he was like, "Oh no, you're not having that back." And it wasn't even at like a Euros or anything. It was just at like a local tournament kind of thing. And I was just a bit like, "Oh, okay, never mind, carry on with my life," kind of thing. But,
Right.
but yes, so that's the only thing I've ever had negative at all.
Well,
So if I
that's good.
might just jump in here, just thought of something. It might not be related to the whole female thing, probably not, but I remember at the Milton Keynes one that we were at, I was up against a young lad, and his dad was there, and we were talking about the deck that I had, because I was running
Oh, you played a
Yamcha or
7-year-old?
whatever. Yeah, I played the young lad, yeah. And I was talking to his dad, and the guy who sat next to me played against his dad, and they saw the deck I was running, which isn't better. And he was like, "Oh, you're running that?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I actually did well." And I beat like Shenron Gogeta. And this guy just looked at me for a second and went, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, why is that so hard to believe?" He's just like, "I don't know, just and he just kind of waited, and I'm just like, "Yeah." He's like, "No, that's cool, it's fine, yeah."
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had similar to that.
Was it the kid's dad who was like that? Because
No,
I know
it's the
it was their first tournament.
No, it was the guy playing against the kid's dad.
Oh right, okay, all right, I see. But yeah.
Yeah, I had something similar to that at Euros. Is somebody was like, "Oh, of course you're a girl playing maidens. Why would you play maidens?" And I was just sat there like, "But dude, you were in the side tournament. I'm pretty much guaranteed top 64 at this point." And I was just like, and I'm not playing maidens because I'm a girl. It's because it's a really fun deck to play. It had nothing to do with my gender or the gender of the characters within my deck. It was purely, I really like this. That was it.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's laughable. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, why would you say
unfortunately, I
that?
think you do get those sort of comments. Yeah, do you have anything else to share, Gabby? Because I was going to come to you next, but you sort of...
Yeah, sorry, I kind of jumped in there.
Sorry. No, to be fair, I'm for the most part, I've had quite positive experiences. Like when I first started out, a couple of the people I played with probably didn't take me seriously, but I don't think that had anything to do with my gender so much as I was only playing because my boyfriend was like, "Oh, learn this." So I don't think it was ever a comment on me. It was a comment on the fact that they were all like die-hard fans of Dragon Ball, and then I just come in with my little crit Vegeta deck and I'm swinging it for double strike and crit. It was just a bit. I think it was more that than anything else.
it was a strong deck.
Oh, I loved it. My favorite thing.
So, yeah, sort of talking about Euros. I think if you're in your local community, then like playing at your locals, then generally the people know you're there, and you probably shouldn't get many issues. But yeah, I think just generally at locals Euros, where because it was a massive tournament. I thought maybe there might be some slightly unsavory comments, but actually from the sounds of it, everything has gone pretty well.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. I didn't bump into any problems at Euros. Everyone treated me as if I was any other player of the game. So
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I will agree with that. It was pretty much like we were equals.
So yeah, moving on to the next thing I wanted to talk about. Do you feel that you approach the game a little differently from the guys? Maybe you're not as competitive, or maybe just not as salty if you lose. But I mean, as we went through before, there is sort of pedigree here because Gabby, you got top 64 at Euros and you topped your locals. Kelli, you got top 8 at what is still the second largest best of 3 tournament in the UK so far.
Oh, right, okay, I didn't know it was that big.
Yeah, it was actually, yeah. And Willow,
That's like an epic boasting point for you now.
I know, right?
And Willow, you did well at the LPG Bristol and also at Big Orbit as well. I think that was your only loss that day, right?
sorry.
I think that was your only loss that day, right? At Big Orbit.
Yeah, it was actually.
Yeah. So but do you feel that maybe you're not as competitive as the guys, or maybe you might not put so much time into it as some of the guys do? Willow.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, no, that's my fault.
Yeah, I didn't quite catch that was directed straight to me. I personally I'm not as competitive as some other players. I don't put as much time into it. For a long period of time, I was only ever interested in playing Virus and playing like Energy Ramp and a stall kind of control deck.
Mm-hmm.
So on a whole, with those kind of decks, you just kind of have your deck, and you have to learn your opponent's deck in a way of like how to get around bad bits. But on a whole, you're kind of playing your own game. Most of your interactions are stopping them from doing cool things, to be honest. It's slightly oppressive, really, when I think of it that way.
Just stall the game, stop them from playing.
Yeah. But I don't know necessarily if that's anything to do with I don't know if that is more likely due to the fact that I am female that is the case, or if it is just my general attitude. I've always been relatively like chilled out in everything that I do, regardless. So
Yeah, sure, that's great. Yeah, I mean, it's just that generally, I think, well, from my experience anyway, in Yu-Gi-Oh, I mean, hardly any girls play Yu-Gi-Oh actually, but I think generally the female players don't sort of get onto the top tables that much, and I was just wondering if maybe that was it was a female thing, it was just taking a different approach to games in general, or whether it's largely a personal thing instead. Kelly, what do you think about that?
I would say I'm quite competitive. Like, again, I don't know if it's just me, but I guess it depends on the situation, because when it comes to deck building, I kind of divert away from meta. I like to build things that I know I like. When it was around set 2 time, I was running Zamasu, because I love the whole Goku Black Zamasu thing, and I can't wait for the new support coming out for that, because I'm hoping it's going to bring him back into the game, just because I want to run him again. But at the moment I'm running Yamcha, which I've pretty much seen no one else do at any big thing. And it honestly, when I do decent with him, I feel a little bit smug, just because I'm like, yeah, I can do this. I can use Yamcha. He can be good. And it's like, sometimes that I get too competitive to the point I feel mean. Like, for example, I'm going to sound really bad here. That child that I went up against, I shuffled his deck for him, I explained all his cards to him, but at the same time, I didn't really hold anything back, because I'd already lost one game, and then I got a bye, so I was just like, you know what, I need at least one win here, come on. So this poor child, I'm just like, oh my god, I feel like a bully, but oh my god, I need a win, come on. And even then, it didn't feel like a real win, because obviously it's against a little lad. But bless him, he took it brilliantly, because he was just happy to be there, I think, and get to play the game. But yeah, I felt like a bully. But it's like, if I go to like big events and stuff, I'm definitely in a competitive mindset, to the point that if I do badly and I start off badly, I'm kind of just like, oh my god, why am I here? I'm terrible at this.
Okay.
But with the Milton Keynes thing, I think I lost my first match immediately, so I was kind of just like, oh no, this is what am I doing?
Yeah.
But then obviously I'm glad that I stayed, because I ended up getting top 8 for some reason. Probably because I had a game against a young lad and then I got a bye. So
that's just how Swiss works sometimes, I guess. But yeah, what about you, Gabby? I mean, you've mentioned that you enjoy playing maidens, and I mean, it just happens to be quite good as well. So
Yeah,
do you generally play to just have a really good deck, or just play with what you like?
I play with what I like, but I am still very competitive. It's got nothing to do with my gender. I'm just a very competitive person. Like my friend Harry jokes about it constantly, that I'm a very friendly, competitive person, because like all the way through Euros, every time I discarded someone's hand, I'd be like, I'm so sorry. I will apologize profusely, whilst also being relatively happy with myself that I'm beating someone. But I don't, it's not a thing about my gender. It's purely, I'm a competitive person. I've always been very, very competitive, but I don't want to win. Like, I'm not so competitive that I'd look at going for meta.
Mm-hmm.
Like Willow said, it's a case of finding different ways of winning, because I feel like if you're going for meta, that's great. If you like playing meta, that's great. But for me, if I'm going to win, I want to know that I'm winning because of my own tactics, not because of tactics that other people have put into play previously. So I know, like with maidens, it's not a particularly looked at deck, because the maidens in the anime were just awful. But I feel like that is part of the reason people don't pay attention to it, because every time I play someone new, they're like, oh my god, I've got to build a deck like this. And I'm like, yeah, it's actually really good. Nobody pays attention to it though, because the maidens shoot love hearts at people. It's really irritating. But I think, like what I said, it's a case of if you're gonna win, it's more fun to do it in ways that are off your own back and you like ideas that you've thought of. So I do get very competitive just because this is a deck that not many people play, and I want to prove that it's actually worth looking at.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you're all very competitive, and which probably explains why you've all done well with your decks as well. And sort of moving on finally is do you have any tips on how male players should treat you, like practical ones? Because even though, for me personally, so this is from my experience, when I sat across the table from Gabby at Euros, at first I was like, oh, it's a girl. This should be quite easy. But then I reassessed and I was like, hang on, we have the same record, so this isn't going to be free. So treat her with respect, play properly, and I did. So even though obviously I don't intend to disrespect it, it's sort of that instant it does pop into your mind right at the start, and also I mean the whole day I was just leaving people with no cards in hand, but against Gabby was the only time where I felt sympathy from my opponent at any point. So even though hopefully I haven't offended and I've treated all the female players well, even for me I think subconsciously there's something there. And so do you have any practical tips for guys who might feel that way, even just for a moment? We'll come to...
I'm okay to let them underestimate me, just because it makes it just feel that little bit better. So if they want to think that they're in for an easy ride, it's a lot better for me, because they'll subconsciously go easier on me.
Okay, yeah.
So if it means I'm gonna win, by all means feel sympathy, worry about me. I'm okay with that, because it's just gonna mean that if I do beat you, I'm gonna feel that little bit better, because the feminist inside me would just be like, yeah, take that. Ha. So I think on my part it would probably be okay if people, but I think it's the same like as if with a child. If you're playing a child, you feel a bit mean if you're beating them. But it is a game. It is competitive ultimately. Just the only thing I would say is just don't be condescending. Like I've had a couple of experiences where it's like, oh well, this card lets me do this. I'm like, cool, I can read. So that's one thing that I would definitely say is I get a lot of, oh well, that allows me to do, and it's like, okay, thank you. I also know I play that card myself, but that's the only real thing for me is just, I think it's the same regardless of if you're playing a girl or boy, whatever. Just don't be a div. Like that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Okay. And Willow and Kelly, do you have any practical tips?
I mean, a lot of my life is spent in like male-dominated situations. I'm a manufacturing engineer by trade, and I work with all male on the shop floor. So I don't know. It's just like treat women the same way as you'd treat anybody else, and how you wish to be treated. Oh, sorry. I guess one thing I have noticed is sometimes people are almost like they go a little bit extra to be kind of like friendly because you are a female. I feel like sometimes it does go a little bit not too far the other way, because friendliness is always great, but I do quite often get positively discriminated towards my male peers. Like, for example, I went to another store to play there, and met some really nice like chaps. And one of them gave me the playmat that he won, just because he was like,
Oh,
I don't want it, here you go. I really appreciated it, and it was super lovely, but he wouldn't have done that if I wasn't female.
yeah, no, I wouldn't have got that playmat.
Yeah, that's why. So yeah, so sometimes it can be difficult, not difficult, but it's difficult to say because, like, yeah, just treat everyone how you wish to be treated, regardless of what gender they are, and like how they dress, what they look like. Like, it's just about being tolerant and understanding of everyone's situation.
Cool. And Kelly, do you have anything to add, or we sort of covered it all now?
No, it's same kind of thing, really. Yeah, like I've noticed a few times, like, say I'll sit down in front of someone, they'll give me the usual smile, and I'll put Yamcha down in front of them, and they'll be like, "Really? Okay, yeah." Like, again, with the whole probably thinking, "Oh, it's cute, she wants to play Yamcha or whatever," and then they make that mistake. That's the thing. It's just a mistake in my benefit, but it's like, just, yeah. It's all about respect, really. Just the same amount of respect you'd give to anyone else. Like, simple things where if I explain a rule to someone where they've made something like a mistake, like the whole swap thing, obviously you play the card before you take the other one back. And I remember, like, I can't remember who it was, but at Euros someone was playing the red freezer and they took the card back and put the other one down. And I'm not one to shark, but I just told her, I was like, I'm not going to do this, but just for future reference, you need to put the other card down first before you take that one back, or someone will shark you and say you can't play that card now.
Yeah.
And he kind of just gave me a look, just like, yeah, okay. And again, I don't know if that's because I'm female or what, but it's like, I've had a few times where people will kind of just give me a funny look, like, yeah, you know the rules better than I do. And I'm actually a registered judge, so I'm just kind of sat there like, yeah, I know what the rules are. I play the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just...
If I can just jump in, I had the same thing happen at Euros with someone playing. He played with Uber, and I was like, "Oh no, my card effects still go through." And he's like, "No, they don't. They definitely do." And I've never felt the need to call a judge before. I like you. I've done the judge exam. I passed the judge exam. I've never, and I was like, "No, I'm not having this. I know full well that my card effects are still going through." And he just wasn't having none of it, and I was like, I can't argue with this. So I put my hand up, and then he was just like, for the rest of the game, I just had him like glaring at me because the judge told him he was wrong. He was just staring at me, and I was like, okay, now I'm scared. So I think, but again, I don't know if that's gender, or just somebody being a bit salty that they were wrong.
Might be. I think generally these things happen at sort of earlier on in tournaments at lower tables, right?
Oh no, this was one of my final matches. I think
really?
I faced you, what was it, 4? I think this was the guy either just after I faced you or just before. But yeah, he was not a happy bunny. Like, he seemed really nice when I sat down. We was friendly, we shook hands, had a nice little chat, and then as soon as that happened, I spent the rest of the match with daggers on me. So kind of terrifying.
Well, okay, yeah, that was really good. Thank you very much for that. Do you have anything to add before we wrap this up? No, I'm gonna take that as a no.
This is really awkward silence.
It's alright. I have some music in the background, so it shouldn't be too bad. But yeah, do you have any shout outs? Come to you, Gabby, first.
So mine's for game night, because this I feel like this is part of the reason I get on so well at game night is we have another girl who comes fairly regularly, and her name's Danny, and she is the sweetest human that I have ever met. She's wonderful, and I love her to pieces. And I feel like she's basically like, obviously I started playing because of Ryan. I keep going because of her. She's amazing. So but also if any girls do want to play, say there's 2 of us at game night, and not to shade the rest of them, but we're totally the 2 best players at game night. So we're happy to come along. We'll teach you. It's great.
All right, and Kelly?
Not really anyone in particular. I'm sorry, the dog just bit me. No, he's just decided, you know what, I'm gonna interrupt you and I'm just gonna stop biting your feet until you play with me because I'm a pain. But yeah, no, not that I can think of. Just obviously,
Shout out to the dog.
shout out to the other mods of the trading group because obviously you get a lot of posts in that group and it gets a bit of a hassle sometimes when you get quite a few people who don't understand what they've done wrong, and they're just a great group of people to work with. And yeah, again, they're a group of guys that don't care who you are. It's just like, yeah, we're all mods, we all get on, we all do our jobs. And it's just nice to be part of the group. They don't care, they're just like, yeah, it's fine. So I actually removed one of my fiance's trading posts today because he didn't post the timestamp, and they were all just like, good on you, not biased.
Oh, great. And Willow?
I guess shout out to everyone at Excelsior in terms of like staff, especially George, who stayed many a late night with all the Dragon Ball lot upstairs chatting away, not really wanting to leave, and George just wanting to go home. And then the lads that went up to Manchester with for Euros, Ian, Jimmy, Todd, Andre, Jed. Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, yeah, thank you very much for doing this podcast. It's been really good, and just hopefully you'll top something, and then you can come back on and get a deck profile. So that'll be good.
Well, I remember you wanted to do a deck profile on my Yamcha deck, but I was kind of just like, nah, I don't want people copying me. It's fine.
Yeah, I did actually. I messaged Mark about that, but he never got back to me. So, oh well, maybe next time. Hey, but yep, that's it. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this, and leave your comments below. And as always, remember to sub for more content. I will see you guys and girls maybe later.